Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be continuing a reading of The Encounter, which is a story that I wrote. Um, you're not going to find it on any booksellers, but it is a story from long ago and one that, even though it's not the greatest story, or, I'm not even going to promise that it's the most skillful presentation of the English language. I definitely wouldn't go so far as to say that. But I'm going to continue reading it, and we start today with Chapter 5. Brad was gone. John must have called his name a dozen times. Brad was supposed to stay at the tree. John checked his watch. 2:31, he said. Harry should be back by now. But what happened to Brad? I could only shrug. I was in a bit of a bad mood. We found nothing more after discovering the gun contraption and the marked trees. It was so disappointing, and for the first time, I realized just how worried I was about my brother. There was something very wrong with this forest. I found myself wanting to leave. Though he was 10 minutes late, Harry eventually did show up. He shook his head somberly. I don't know what happened, admitted Harry. No sign of Stevens. John asked Harry if he had somehow come into contact with Brad. Harry never came across Brad and was just as confused as we were about where he could have gone to. John attempted to call Brad, but there was no answer on the other end. Let's wait here for a while. Maybe Brad will show up. John's suggestion did not give me any hope that anyone who disappeared would show up. As we waited, a few strange things happened. First, the wailing. We all must have leapt a mile into the air when we first heard it. It was the most sorrowful, haunting sound I had ever heard. It was as deep as a whale's sonar cry, yet as piercing as a wolf's howl. It sounded close by, and we all concluded that it wasn't any common animal call. John and Harry were quick to say it was a Bigfoot. I wasn't even going to go there. One wail became a multitude as time went on. Some sounded angry, others sounded sad and gloomy. When mixed together, it sounded like a demonic pack of hyenas, capable of belting out high and low frequencies. John and Harry were scared like me, but they were also curious. They pulled out equipment from their backpacks. Laptops were fired on, cameras were rolling, plenty of other electronics were scattered on the ground. The wailing had calmed down after 20 or so minutes, but that's when the next strange event occurred. We began to see deer, both young and old, dash across the land in a hurry. Some of them were jumping over fallen trees with such grace and skill. All of them were heading in the same direction. They bolted toward us and pretty much ignored us as they ran by. John got all this on camera. It was a sight to behold. It wasn't just the deer, though. We could see squirrels and other rodents going in the same direction. These animals were running from something. It really made me feel like running with them. I just couldn't help but think that something big was headed this way. John and Harry were excited, though. They told me that seeing a bunch of animals was a good sign of a Bigfoot's presence. Bigfoots were naturally curious about other animals, they said. As a matter of fact, explained John, Bigfoot often tried to mimic other animals. John had never seen a Bigfoot and could not prove they existed. How he knew all these facts was beyond me. Still, I felt very uncomfortable. After all the animals had passed, there was an eerie silence. John suggested we go the opposite way of the animals to see if we could run into a Bigfoot. I told John he was crazy. Something bad is going on, I said. Animals don't run like that for no reason. I admit, I was thoroughly freaked out at that point. John and Harry seemed thrilled, but I was afraid. Too many strange things were happening. I couldn't handle it all. Well, I'm going to explore, said John. He gathered all his gear. Harry looked like he was going to go too. I shook my head. We really shouldn't go, I urged. Something's not right. You could stay here, said John. Harry can stay with you. No, I shouted. Don't you get it? Don't you see the pattern? Every time we split up, someone else disappears. We need to stick together. He has a point, said Harry. I'm sorry, but I'm going, said John. I want to solve this mystery, even if I have to pay the price. I could see the craziness in John's eyes. I knew there would be no stopping him. He began to walk toward the danger, whatever it was. Harry looked torn. Look, friend, he said. I really want to go with John. If there is a Bigfoot out there, I'd like to see it, take pictures and film it. This is big. You understand, right? In a way, I did understand. It meant a lot to Harry. Why don't you just come with us? Asked Harry. You yourself said we needed to stick together. My answer died on my lips as I heard a scream that got muffled before it reached its crescendo. That was John. Harry was already running toward John before my brain could tell me what to do. I couldn't see John. I couldn't move. My heart pounded rigorously within my chest. I watched as Harry made his way down the forest. He was getting harder and harder to see. I wished that he would have stayed. I couldn't bring myself to follow him. I was beginning to feel dizzy. I needed to find a way to calm down. There were still some cigarettes on the ground, and I still had Paul's lighter. I wasn't a smoker, but I figured it would help my nerves to try one. I was desperate for any relief at that point. I lit a cigarette and was prepared to begin, but I heard someone say, I wouldn't do that if I were you. I turned around and was face to face with Paul. All right, I'm gonna stop it right there. It looks like our protagonist has met his brother, which is weird, right? So, I'm gonna continue recording more of the story, and we're gonna figure out what's happening to everybody. Or we might not. I mean, it is a mystery, isn't it? Alright. Until next time, I hope you have a great day. Thank you for listening. Bye.